I mean, my answer to this is way different as a 33-year-old, full-time worker than it was as a high school kid. So when I was a high school kid, like I wanted my games as long as possible. I'm not gonna lie. That's one of the reasons that I fell in love with Bethesda, is because I could just almost play them endlessly.
Hmm.
But these days, I don't have that kind of time, and I'm like the complete opposite end of the spectrum now.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's like kind of like the shorter the better. I just want like a really good, short, high quality experience. Let's see what Benjamin has to say here. It definitely affects how much money I'm willing to spend on games. I wouldn't spend $60, $70 on a game that only runs 10 hours. It doesn't seem worth spending that for only 2 to 3 sittings. On the flip side, I prefer games around the 10 to 30 hour range. I just wait for sales to pay much less for them.
Yeah. Well, I do disagree that I wouldn't pay full price for a 10-hour game. I definitely would. And I've probably come
Totally.
pretty close to that before.
Oh, I
With
definitely have.
with something like Dread, like I think about Metroid Dread, and
I think about Astrobot, the
I
new
was about to
Astrobot
say,
game.
yeah, Astrobot, yeah. So that doesn't bother me. The 2 to 3 sittings thing like really doesn't bother me at all, and sometimes I can even stretch those out pretty damn far if I'm being honest. But 10 to 30 is also a nice little range as well.
I'm not even sure. Like we put out this poll asking, do you consider a game's link before buying? And we'll go through the results here, but like personally, I never really look into a game's length before I buy it. I don't know what that is. I would put me in the rarely category. Where would you fall in this?
I would probably fall in the sometimes. If it's a brand new game and I think I want to play it, I don't. It's not like I get on the internet and immediately see if anybody's got it on how long to beat, or something. But if it's been out a while, I might check.
Yeah. Well, as you see here, 58% of people are in that sometimes category. And then everything else is pretty equal in that 13 to 16% range between never, rarely, and always. Seems
Yeah.
like it's just a toss up. Like sometimes, I look and sometimes I don't. I
hmm
found that to be interesting.
Yeah, I think when I voted in on this poll on our Discord server, I think I might have actually said always. But I think what I was thinking is like I do think about a game's length just about always, but it maybe not before I buy it. Like I don't know. So I'm a sometimes, but I think a lot of people are that way probably.
Yeah. Well, let's move into our comments here. We got the first one from Gabriel Gomez. Hit us with that one, Daniel.
All right, old Gabby said, not just length, but what genre, price, and what I'm able to play at the time. For me, I want to buy Baldur's Gate 3, but haven't yet because I know how much time I have to invest in it. I'm willing to buy full price for it, and I like RPGs. I didn't get it because I still have other games I need to finish, taking my time too because I want to enjoy them rather than rushing. Length doesn't necessarily matter if the game is good all the way through. I just hope it's good.
Well, I'll tell you, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be good. Daniel, you almost didn't make it through that.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It just seemed like something caught you off guard there, and you started to chuckle a little bit. But
No, I didn't start to chuck. I just agree with a lot of points here, and
especially that last point.
I just feel heard. That's all. I just agree with just about everything Gabby said.
Look, I think that this is really interesting because this point is saying like, hey, I want to play Baldur's Gate 3, but I haven't because I know how much time it takes. Like, that's cool. And the fact was like, I'm willing to pay whatever for it, but I got to be ready to play it.
Yep.
Very few people have that level of patience and like saying like, hey, I want to play this, but I just can't until I have the time, and to not buy it and put it in your backlog. I feel like that's what the rest of us do.
Hell yeah, that's what I do. I wish list it on Steam, and when I see a good price, that's exactly what happens.
No, I'm saying like a lot of us will just buy it, have it in our library ready to go, and it's just a game that we bought and haven't played yet.
Yeah, well, that's what a backlog is, ain't it?
Oh, I know, but you're saying if you wish list it, oh, I see. You buy it whenever it goes on sale,
I
no
mean,
matter
that's
if
what
you're
I
ready to
try
play
to
it or
do.
not.
I mean, I'm not going to
I
say
see.
I've never just impulse bought it because I certainly have. But I do use
Oh
this.
yeah,
I use the Steam wish list a hell of a lot.
yeah. It's a pretty good system too. It
Yeah.
really
Oh, it's
is.
fantastic. I love it. Shout out to the Steam wish list. If you don't use it, you should, It'll send you an email when your games go on sale. It's freaking sick.
It needs some medicine for that. Let's see here. Benjamin says, that's wild. I would never buy a game full price to sit in my library. Save yourself some money and wait for a sale if you're not playing it right away.
Yep. Yep. That's my advice too, Benji.
Or just always wait until you're ready to play it. I guess, like, theoretically, you could get a better sale earlier, you know, if it went on sale before, but the time you're ready to play it, it's not on sale anymore. That's happened to me.
It happens, yeah. I mean, you never really know, which is why I try to take advantage of these Steam sales. But hindsight's 2020. You don't know either way. You could find a better sale later, you know, like.
Yeah. The price charting websites are really useful.
The bottom line is we could probably all save ourselves a lot of money if we just didn't feed the backlog. But
I know.
You know, I do currently feed the backlog, and I can stop anytime. It's not a big deal.
I promise.
I don't think I'm the only one that can make addict jokes about that.
No, for sure.
All right.
Let's move on. We got randomized YouTuber here who says, well, I'm not spending 70 for a 5-hour game, though I normally research a game more than just playtime before I buy it. Steam sales are great, though. Sometimes I felt bad getting a long game for a cheap price, especially if it's a good one. If the game is long, I'm not really too picky about that. I play Persona and all those long RPGs, so short length is my biggest fear for playtime.
Well, I mean, you know, there's something to be said for making sure you want to get your money's worth, you know, out of your purchases. I totally understand that. And what that is to me maybe isn't what it is to old randomized YouTuber, because I don't know that I'll ever finish Persona. Because it's so long. I think it's great. It's just so long. And I kind of wish it was shorter so I feel like I had a chance of finishing it, honestly. So, you know, different strokes, different folks.
Yeah, I like chronically feel like I have to finish games.
Yeah.
I've gotten better over the past like year or so of like, if I'm just not enjoying a game, I will not finish it. Mm-hmm. I'll abandon a game. But if I'm enjoying a game, even if it's longer than I wanted it to be, I will try to see it out just because I enjoy the game and I like want to see it through.
Yeah.
So it's long games I tend to avoid. Like if I see a game and it's like, I want to play it, but I know it's a long game. Like I'm sort of interested in that Metaphor game, and I don't know how long it is. I need to look into it, but I like have it in my head that it's because it's from Atlas and it's from Persona, or like the Persona developer. I think like it's going to be 100-hour RPG, and it may not be. That's what I need to look.
Yeah, I really have no idea. I have the same stereotype, you know, for that game. I also kind of figured it was just a long ass RPG. But you know, I'm just like. I'm different from you. Like I want to finish more games desperately, and I just chronically don't. And it's like, it's weird because I will take like a game that has like endless playability, something like Sea of Thieves, or, you know, we've done it with Fortnite or Balatro, you know, things like that. And I'll just pour time into them. Way more time than it would take me to finish a couple of one-player games. But it's just definitely. Like, it's such a different, like, thing. I don't know. I've realized that about myself, that I just love games that have, like, endless, just fun loops, you know?
Yeah, those games tend to... See, I find those to be more repetitive, and, like, I get tired of those faster, but I think that for certain... Like, that's why the different strokes thing. Like, some gamers love those type of games, because... the fact that they are repetitive and means you can get really good at them, and being like really good at the game feels rewarding in a different way than playing through a single player game does. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And you know, I think there are times when you avoid games like that, not because you don't think you would like them, but because you know that you would put more hours into it and you wouldn't be able to play something else. Totally. You know,
100%. Like I am both loving and hating Pokemon trading card game Pocket right now, because it's that there's no end in sight, and I just want to play it all the time. But like I can't. Like I'm like, what am I working towards? There's no goal. So it's like, although I really want to play it, it's like I could use that time towards another game that I could play and finish, and like like I could put it as my, kind of like a collection on the wall. It's like I pin it up. I'm like, I finished that game. Whereas a game like Pokemon Card Game Pocket, Train Card Game Pocket, I can't finish that game.
Yeah.
It's like it.
And I love that. I don't know. There's something about like just it's like TCG Pocket, and I honestly I haven't played it as much in the past day and a half, 2 days, because of another game that I'll talk about later. But I am also just loving the shit out of TCG Pocket. I really just can't emphasize that enough. But it's basically like it's just become a part of my day. It's like a few, you open your packs, and then maybe you do some battles. And I have put a lot of hours on it already. But I love that. I don't know, man. It's just like it's just a different thing. I don't know. Different strokes, like you said. But it'll take your time. That's for sure. We got some live comments here. So we got one from Laninator. Welcome in, by the way. Who said, I don't think I ever have a fixed answer to this question. It all depends on my mood. I go through phases of burnout on different genres, so it just depends on what I'm into at the time. On a money perspective, I don't love spending $70 on a very short game. But if I've just played a 100-plus hour RPG, I need a break before the next one. So it's a time thing, not a money thing.
Yeah, I do. I find that when I come off a long game, I want to play a short game immediately after. Like, it's the next thing I want to do. Like,
yeah,
I have to play a short game. It's like I need a palate cleanser after playing a really long game.
Yep. I would agree with that. And I think that makes sense. It's just variety.
And then you play a couple short games, and then you want to play a long, meaty game.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you really do.
Absolutely.
But one more thing, about this comment here that we didn't touch on is saying sometimes I feel bad for getting a long game for a cheap price. And that struck me as really interesting.
Yeah, I just say if it's on sale, I don't worry about that. I've never felt that emotion, but I do think that's very sweet.
Yeah. Sweet, but I mean, I don't mind. Like, say if I get like The Witcher 3 and you could get so much time out of that game, but if you get it for $5, I mean, like, hey, that's amazing.
And I did.
For $5.
I did get that game for like nothing. Like, it might have been less than $5. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That's a great example because that's a masterpiece, and it's always cheap.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
We got one more comment about this.
Okay. This comes to us from Dandy Bean, who said, I tend to when it comes to RPGs. I don't think I really look into any other genre when it comes to game length. And I was going to say though, but there is no though.
Well, there's no though. Mm-hmm. I don't think it needs to. I mean, the though is implied.
It doesn't have to be there. I just thought it was coming.
It doesn't have to. You're like, I really expected it though.
Yeah.
This really spoke to me because I am the exact same way. I think the only times that I definitely look into a game's link before I buy it is when it's an RPG.
Yeah, I kind of identify with this too. RPGs are just the ones that are known for being so long I can't beat them. So, but they're also the reason I used to love long games. So like, it just is what it is.
Yeah, like you're never gonna get like a platformer, and it's, say like Astrobot. Like I knew the length of Astrobot before I played it. I didn't have to look it up. I just knew about how long it was going to be because that's just about how long those games are.
Right.
But RPGs can vary and typically RPGs are on the longer side, but they can be anywhere from like, I think I played Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is like an action RPG. And really, I think it only took me maybe like 9 or 10 hours. So that's like that was an extremely short RPG.
Right.
But they can go all the way to over 100 hours easy.
Well, it takes a long time to get from humble beginnings to killing a god with the power of friendship. It can take a minute. So, I get it.
Yeah. Totally. But, I mean, like this idea that games length is stopping from being such a big deal. Do you agree with that? Do you think that like now that age of like a game having to be so long so that people felt like they got their money's worth out of it, do you think that's changing, or do you think that that's still something that people care about, like really care about before they buy a game.
I think it's changing, but I think there's like a minimum. I think if it's like less than 10 hours, it is like an absolute no for a ton of people. But I think once you cross like 10 or 12 hours, people kind of like, I don't think it's as big a deal.
I think that was
I think there's a cutoff.
yeah. I think that's why Astrobot, like so few people. I saw sales numbers for Astrobot and it was like 1 point something million. And I'm like, that is a criminally low number for that game. Like, sure, 1 point something million is not bad, but that game needs to be a 10 million plus seller because it's that good. And it's just because it's a, you know, it's not even full price. I think it's like 60, maybe be $50. I think it's 60 though.
Yeah.
$60 and it's like a sub 10-hour game. And people just don't want to spend that much money for a sub 10-hour game.
No, they don't. It don't bother me, but I think I'm in the minority.
Yeah.
I just want it to be good. Honestly.
Honestly, me
and
too.
Pacing
like,
is important. Like if it's paced well, it can make a really long game feel short. You probably don't want to make your short game feel long. That'd be bad.
it can make a really short game feel long. Yes, I saw where you were going to that. You were like, you know, a game that's paced well is going to feel. Well, I think what you're saying is like a game that's paced well is going to feel right.
It's going to feel right.
No matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to feel right. That's exactly what I was going for.
Like, you know, like a game like The Last of Us is not a very long game. I think it's over 10 hours, but it's probably not a heck of a lot over 10 hours. And
we don't deserve any more Last of Us than we got.
You know what I mean?
They were already so good to us with what they gave us.
Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting from Landnader here. If I really want to play a great time, doesn't matter, I'm buying it.
If I really want to play a game, time doesn't matter. I'm buying it. If I want to play it but can wait, then I'll think about it.
I read that is great, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense, Landnader.
If I really want to play a great time.
I was like, no, that was not a matter of not having the comma there. That was a problem with me just not being able to read words. And I changed that one G word for a different G word.
He's always done that.
Always.
He's always done that.
That's why we're called G and G.
I wasn't ready to reveal that part of the lore, but Lore Master Darling, please add it to the oral scrolls.